Grief is a funny thing. Sometimes it's parting with a loved one too soon, and sometimes it's watching a $725 million impairment loss turn into the death of an 11-year franchise. Undoubtedly, though, they are the same feeling, which doesn't make sense. Why is a video game receiving no more live updates triggering the same emotional response that I felt when I saw my grandfather on a hospital bed and realized I would never play another chess match against him? I fear that despite delusions of complexity, at the very core, humans are simply creatures that can feel happy or sad. And right now, I feel very sad. 18 days from now, on June 9th, 2026, Destiny 2 will receive its last live service update. It will never receive another expansion again. We will never receive any more holiday events. Trials and Iron Banner will continue into the foreseeable future, with Trials being 3 weeks and then Iron Banner being 1 week, and then 3 weeks of Trials, and the cycle will continue. But the game will slowly dwindle into nothing, the community getting smaller and smaller with every passing day, and eventually there will be nobody left. Yesterday, May 21st, the TWID that launched left some room for hope and speculation. Bungie talked about the end of Destiny 2, but Destiny moving on and continuing, or the continuation of projects that Bungie is incubating. But 7 hours later, an article from Jason Schreier would launch, and in that article, he would state that Bungie is not planning on moving to a Destiny 3. They are not immediately starting work, and in fact, they are ramping up for another round of layoffs, presumably the entire Destiny 2 team that isn't required to keep the game alive. Alive in the barest sense, meaning the servers online. So no, there will not be a Destiny 3 soon. There will not be a future for Destiny. When a man first uttered the phrase, "It's always darkest before dawn," I presume he was not living in a cave. And yet, my friends, that's where we find ourselves, in the deepest part of the abyss, with no hope for the future and no path in any direction. We will simply sit in stagnation until we slowly suffocate, and that will be it. September of 2014 is when Destiny 1 originally launched, and about a month later I would receive the game for my birthday. I was turning 12. I would then proceed to play Destiny for the rest of my life. I am now 23. If you assume that a 9-month-old is not playing video games, I have been playing Destiny for longer than I have not been playing Destiny. Whether I like it or not, this means that Destiny has ultimately, much like the trellis an ivy vine may grow on, formed me into what I am. Without it, I would be an entirely different individual. And so, with this trellis now removed, I'm not sure if I will be able to hold my shape. I will try, undoubtedly, and perhaps years later, I will look back on this video and think that I was being an overdramatic little bitch. However, right now, in the moment, all I feel is cold, hollow, and aimless. I have no idea where to go from here. I have some ideas for the channel, of course. I think I'm going to bridge myself into a game design type of analytical channel, and I think you guys might like that based on how much you liked my previous content discussing Destiny 2's game design. But as a person, what do? Every day I played Destiny. And I don't mean that as an exaggeration. Anytime I wasn't playing Destiny, I was either making videos about it or thinking about it in some capacity. Without Destiny 2, I don't know what will fill that void. Maybe I'll go be a musician or something. I don't know if I'll ever be able to play another video game with the same intention and dedication that I have played Destiny 2. And even if I was, what if that video game just gets turned off in the same way? Again, I just feel cold, hollow, and aimless. I thought it was impossible for something like this to happen. Destiny was ultimately a large portion of the $3.6 billion that Sony spent to acquire Bungie, and I never thought that they would sacrifice that much just to keep a shitty little extraction shooter that can't even pull 10K concurrents going. It is illogical, but then I remember that Bungie is not a logical studio, and then everything makes sense, I suppose. But it's still hard, you know? I am excited for the rad refresh and for the destination refresh and for SRL to finally come back after us asking for it for 8.5 years. But then creeping and never letting go is just that idea that this is it and there will never be anything beyond that. And I will slowly have to watch my game wither into a corpse and die. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to enjoy what is possibly one of the greatest, if not the coolest update Destiny 2 has ever received. I need there to be a future. I need there to be hope, but there is none. And without hope, what is abundance but an inevitability towards nothingness? I do not admire hedonism, and that's what this update feels like, a slow suffocating of oneself in luxury before the end. I do not want this. If I was given the choice between this and one Ash and Iron update every year, I would take the Ash and Iron because that would mean that Bungie still believed that they could do something with the game, but they do not anymore. And I think that is why I am so sad. Not because I don't think Destiny 2 doesn't have a future. Obviously it could, but because Bungie doesn't think Destiny 2 has a future, and so that means that the game will die because they are ultimately the ones who make the decision. And so I feel helpless as well because I know that this game has more potential than any other game has ever had. A first-person shooter MMO with gunplay that feels this clean and talent this powerful should never have reached this low, should never have resulted in a fail state like this. It has never made sense. It doesn't make sense. And maybe this is just me coping, but surely even the most deluded suit would have to see that this IP has the potential to be a billion-dollar success story if it was handled correctly again, right? Sometime around Shadowkeep, I think, I remember asking my best friend from middle school if he would ever play Destiny again, and he said, Destiny 3, I'll play it. And so ever since then, I have been wanting a Destiny 3 because I know there are so many people like that. Hell, I mean, Asmongold, love him or hate him, said that he would never play Destiny 2, but Destiny 3, he'll give it a shot. That's fucking Asmongold, dude. That's the most cynical motherfucker that you could ever find. And yet, we're just not making it? Like, it seems illogical when studios and executives and ultimately people with capital are willing to gamble that much money on live service games because the payout is so high. Business is ultimately a game of risk versus reward, a game of safe bets and calculated gambles, and Destiny 3 is ultimately one of the safest high payout gambles there could ever be. All you have to do is make Destiny 2, but in an updated engine. It's really that simple. And given it's a console-dominated game, and GTA 6 is expected to push a shit ton of console sales, Destiny 3 coming out sometime in the years afterward would make a fortune. Incalculable amounts of money would be made if it was literally just Destiny 2 but on a better engine with a slightly better sandbox. And that would be easy because it would be a fresh start. You would not have to deal with 8.5 years of baggage if you made Destiny 3. And you could even go to the same content cadence that we had during Destiny 2's best years, where you make one new raid and then one reprised raid. And given that you're in a better engine state, whether that's a new engine entirely or you just want to stick with Tiger but update it kind of like they did for Marathon, it should ultimately be easier to develop in, which would mean that you could support Strikes and Crucible again and the core health of the game could improve. But now all the hope for that is gone because some fucking worthless suit decided that Marathon, the shiny new extraction shooter, getting fucking mogged by an 8.5-year-old shitfest that hasn't received new content in 6 months is better. Words cannot describe the overwhelming abhorrence for Bungie that I have right now. I still remember the first time I went flawless in Destiny 2, the first week that Trials came out, and then losing my streak on week 3 because it was an absolutely abysmal time on Widow's Court, and then eventually getting good enough at it to do carries myself, and then watching Bungie add the flawless pool, and then take it out, and then add it back again, and keep messing with the matchmaking. And somewhere in there, I remember playing a Trials Report challenge and getting first place by getting around 2,000 kills with Tommy's matchbook in the same weekend, playing 44, if I remember correctly, hours of Trials. I love this game. I love this franchise. I love what it is, a PvP, PvE, MMO, first-person shooter, never replicated, arguably irreplicable experience. Destiny is ultimately irreplaceable. There's no alternative. You can't just go play Warframe if you're tired of Destiny. You can't just go play Final Fantasy XIV. They're just not the same. Warframe will never have Fatebringer in it, and Final Fantasy XIV will never have Double Icarus Dash and Fellwinter's Lie. And Destiny 2 doesn't have those things either, but it did, and it still carries the memories and the shadows of those things that we all loved. Guns that feel, PvP that flows, 6v6 chaos, and 3v3 calculated PvP, the simple complexities of a Destiny match, learning when supers come, and how to use yours, and how to not whiff your own super, and memorizing spawns only for Bungie to mess up the spawn system and make it completely unreadable. These things are not something that another game will ever capture, because Destiny 2 is ultimately the only full loot PvP MMO that ever worked. All the other ones failed, and then it gets thrown away by some faceless executive that thinks that Marathon is somehow the better gamble. I don't have a good way to end this video. I can't give you any hope because there is none, and I can't say that I'm excited for the update when lurking behind it is death. So I guess I'll just say Christ is King. Subscribe for more videos that will be about Destiny 2 for a while and then eventually won't be. And I'm out.